I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the mayor well, but he's been fairly generous to me in his statements for a while. I thought you had the worst mayor ever that we had prior to him. I will say this. I watched about a year ago when he talked about how the illegal migrants are hurting our city and the federal government should pay us and we shouldn't have to take them. And I said, you know what? He'll be indicted within a year. And I was exactly right, because that's what we have. We have people that use the Justice Department and the FBI at levels that have never been seen before. So I wish him luck. I don't know anything about what he did, but I told a lot of people right over there, that group was saying, you know, sir, you were right about that. When they mentioned that, I said, they came in and he was pretty strong about it. He said, this is really unfair to make us carry this burden. We shouldn't be doing this. This is New York City. I mean, your parks are loaded up. I just passed recently Madison Avenue, the Roosevelt Hotel. It's like nobody would recognize it. That's Midtown. But he came out very strongly against it. He was right, by the way, because it's ruining our country. He was honest. And I said, he will be indicted within a year. And that's what happened. And I noticed the indictment's very old. It goes back a long time. Well, I had the same thing. They went way before the statute of limitations. So I wish him well, but I said that he will be indicted because he did that. You take a look. That's what they do. These are dirty players. These are bad people. They cheat. And they do anything necessary. These are bad people. And we need an honest Justice Department. We need an honest FBI, and we need it fast. Yeah.
Keir Starmer, the UK Premier.
Yes, he's coming tonight.
What do you think of him? Some of his colleagues in government are quite critical of you.
Well, I'm going to see him in about an hour, so I have to be nice, right?
Yeah.
But I actually think he's very nice. I think he ran a great race. He did very well. It's very early, but he's popular, and I'll be seeing him, and I'll send you regards. Who are you with?
I'm with GB News in the UK.
Okay, good.
Would you rather Nigel Farage had a bigger role?
Well, I think Nigel is great. I mean, I've known him for a long time. He had a great election, too. He picked up a lot of seats, more seats than he was allowed to have, actually. They acknowledge that he won, but for some reason you have a very strange system over there. You might win him, but you don't get him. Nigel is a fantastic person.
Mr. President.
President Zelensky said that you do not understand what it takes to win this war.
Oh, then I should immediately cancel my appointment. No, he knows. He knows I understand. Look. I hate to see the carnage. If I were president, it never would have happened. Russia would have never attacked Ukraine. Never, ever. And by the way, President Xi would have never even thought about Taiwan, which he's thinking about very seriously now, flying planes over it every single day. But President Putin would have never attacked. When I look at the horror show that's gone on, and the level of death is far greater than what is being reported. When you look at those cities, they're all knocked down, those beautiful, gorgeous golden domes, they're shattered and lying on their side, never to be replaced again. You can't ever replace that. 2,000 years old. When you look at the heritage of that really very vibrant country in so many different ways, and you see how it's been so broken, the people, so many people dead, where they have to use old soldiers, old men, and young boys because they're running out of soldiers. It's a very terrible thing. And then you see that the United States is paying for most of it, and Europe is not chipping in. And all you have to do with Europe is the same thing I did with NATO. Say you have to pay. And if you say you have to pay, they will. It's very unfair to the United States, but I look forward to seeing him tomorrow. We'll see. I do believe, I disagree with him. Well, he doesn't know me, but I disagree. But I will say this. I believe I will be able to make a deal between President Putin and President Zelensky quite quickly.
But what does that look like? What does that look like? What does that?
I don't want to tell you what that looks like.
The Vice President suggested today that your strategy with Ukraine amounts to surrender to Russia. How do you respond to that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And it's not a surrender. What my strategy is to save lives. I want to save lives. Millions of people are dead. Millions more than they even think about. And it's not my fight, but it is a fight to save humanity. That is a terrible, let me explain. That is a terrible war that would have never happened, and it didn't happen. I even have Democrats. I watched them on Deface the Nation and some of the shows this weekend. And they said, well, we agree that it wouldn't have happened if Trump were president. I was very generous of them. But it would have never happened. That's what bothers me even more. There was no reason for that war to happen. But it did happen, and millions of people are dead, including soldiers from both sides. It's so sad to see it. And I'll meet with President Zelensky, and we'll see what happens. But I believe I can work that out.
Would you encourage
it would have been, I will
to
say
make
this, it would have been a lot easier to work out prior to the start. And Putin never, ever even thought about going in. And it was the apple of his eye. I knew him very well, had a very good relationship, despite the Russia hoax. It was a total hoax. But we had a very good relationship. Fortunately, otherwise we could have ended up in war over that. It's very dangerous. You know, when you make up stories like that, it's very dangerous. The laptop from hell was very dangerous. But Putin told me often, it's the apple of his eye. But I said, Vladimir, don't even think about doing it. He would have never done it. And then, of course, through stupid oil policies and energy policies where oil get up to almost $100 a barrel, Putin said, wow, I have a lot more money than I thought I had. And he prosecuted the war. But even if it went up, and it wouldn't have gone up like that, that's what caused inflation, that and stupid spending for the Green New Deal, which was a Green New Scam, turned out. Do you notice that they don't ever mention anything about environment anymore? What happened to the environment? They don't mention it. They don't mention that the ocean's going to rise 1/4 of an inch over the next 500 years. They don't mention it anymore. It's incredible. I will say this, though. What they should start mentioning is nuclear warming, because we're in grave danger. The world is in grave danger, and you better get smart people. You know, during my term, I never mentioned the word nuclear, but that's the warming that you're going to have to be very careful with. And we're very close to World War III, whether it's the Middle East or that. October 7th would have never happened. Iran had no money. I guess that's probably why you hear the stories about Iran. Only a consequential president would have this happen. Only a consequential president. But Iran would have made a deal with us. It would have been a great deal for them. The only thing is they cannot have nuclear weapons. And we would have had it because Iran had no money during my administration. They were broke. And they would have made a deal, and they would have been happy. And they would have had an unbelievable civilization. But it didn't work out that way because of a thing that was very sad to watch. That was the election, a very sad thing to watch.
Would you still make a deal with them now after everything that's happened? If you were reelected,
make a deal with who? Make a deal with who?
Would you try to make a deal with Iran of some kind if you were reelected?
Sure, I would do that. Sure. I believe in getting. It doesn't matter. I have a great memory, but it's a memory that wants to serve the people. We have to make a deal because the consequences are impossible. We have to make a deal. And they would have had a deal. I would have said we would have had the results of the election been correct. We would have had a deal within 1 week after the election. I was prepared to get it done within 1 week after the election. They could have done that too, but they had no idea how to go about it. They could have done it because I gave them a country that wanted to make a deal. They had to. There was no money to Hamas. There was no money to Hezbollah because Iran didn't have the money. Now Iran has $300 billion. They made it all in the last 3.5 years. The sanctions came off. They made it all in the last 3.5 years. Plus, they essentially have Iraq as a subsidiary, and Iraq has $300 billion. So Iran is a very rich country. They have $600 to $650 billion, including Iraq. Iraq doesn't like it when I say that, but that's true. They're really a subsidiary because foolishly Bush wiped out. You had two powerful forces. One of those forces got wiped out. And now the other force, after 1,000 years, walks in and just essentially takes it over. So it's very sad to watch. But Iran now is a big force because they're very rich. Iran was not rich at all. Iran didn't have the money to take care of the various organizations of terror. Okay.
Leaders yesterday at the UN General Assembly came together to call for an immediate ceasefire. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is speaking at the UN tomorrow. He has refused to do that. What would you do differently to prevent the Middle East?
Well, you have to have that ended one way or the other. The world isn't going to take it. You have to have that ended, and I would think that we're getting close to a point where maybe it can end pretty soon. But you're going to have to end. That's unacceptable. The whole thing over there is unacceptable. That's another one. October 7th would have never happened. Would have never happened. Ukraine and Russia would have never happened. Think of it. Would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. Think of the world. The Afghanistan pullout in that way. We would have pulled out, but we would have pulled out with dignity and strength. I'm the one that got it down to that number. But I would have kept Bagram, because Bagram is this massive Air Force base that we built many, many years ago with billions and billions of dollars, the most powerful runways that can hold more load than any other runway in the world. And we walked away from it. And it wasn't Afghanistan that was the problem. We walked away from a great military base that we built to the highest specifications that was 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. We are being run by Kamala, who is grossly incompetent. All you have to do is look at her interview last night, look at her interview with Oprah, look at her interview with the gentleman from Pennsylvania. All you have to do is look around and you'll see it. We had 4 years of incompetent leadership. We cannot, as a country, sustain another 4 years. Thank you very much.
Are you going to pull your endorsement of Mark Robinson?
I don't know the situation.
Do you believe that Ukraine should turn over some of its own land to Russia in order to end the war?
We'll see what happens.
What's your message to Zelensky
We'll see
tomorrow?
what happens. Let's get some peace. We need peace. We need to stop the death and destruction. Don't you think? Wouldn't that be nice? Huh?
Do you have a plan to meet Benjamin Netanyahu in person?
Well, we're going to meet a lot of people. Many of the leaders have been calling me, and they want to meet. So I guess they see the poll numbers. We're leading in the polls, by the way, very seriously. The Daily Mail just came out with a very big poll, and we're up by 10. So that's an honor. But we have no choice. If we don't win this election, we're not going to have a country. Thank you very much.
Will you divest from your crypto company if you win?